Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping straight into an invisible battlefield that is fundamentally altering reality for both militaries and everyday civilians. I mean, if you've been following global events, you already know the nature of conflict is changing. But what we're looking at today, it goes way beyond traditional weaponry. We are talking about the deliberate manipulation of the exact signals that literally tell us where we are in the world. Okay, let's dive right into this bizarre mystery. Just picture this. You're in Dubai, you check your map, and your Tesla, your Uber, or even just your food delivery rider is suddenly showing up hundreds of kilometers away in the middle of the Arabian desert. Or even crazier, maritime tracking networks are showing massive 300-meter-long cargo ships driving in impossible circles on dry land. Listen, these aren't just random software glitches or your phone acting up. They are the direct, tangible effects of an unseen weapon being actively deployed right now in Middle Eastern conflicts. So, moving right into part one, an invisible and dangerous weapon, and the reality behind these map glitches. Let's look at how the geopolitical landscape, especially the tensions between Israel and Iran, has evolved way beyond just firing traditional missiles. What's absolutely wild here is the stark contrast over time. Back in the 1991 Gulf War, GPS was the ultimate guiding light. With a network of just 16 satellites, U.S. forces had this unbelievable tactical advantage. It allowed them to navigate blindly through pitch-black nights and heavy sandstorms, while their adversaries were completely lost. A total game changer. But fast forward to today, and looking ahead to conflicts in 2026, that exact same technology has been totally flipped on its head. GPS isn't just a navigation tool anymore. It's being weaponized as an anti-GPS tool to create absolute geographical chaos. And the sheer scale of this disruption, it's bleeding into completely different sectors. We aren't just talking about your personal maps glitching out. In aviation, trackers like Flight Radar 24 are catching commercial flights zigzagging impossibly between Sharjah and Egypt, or Mumbai flights literally teleporting across borders to Oman. And out on the water, cargo ships in the Arabian Gulf are being tracked physically resting on the UAE and Saudi borders, or tracing mathematically perfect geometric circles right off the coast of Iran. It's a massive, coordinated manipulation of location data. So the crucial question is, why? What is the actual goal here? Well, it's defense through deception. Militaries are deliberately altering these regional GPS signals to build an invisible shield. Think about it. So many modern weapons, like Iranian Shahed drones and guided missiles, rely entirely on precise GPS coordinates to hit their marks. If you can completely blanket a region with fake location signals, those GPS-dependent weapons are going to completely miss their targets. They end up safely detonating out in empty deserts or the ocean instead of hitting populated areas.
Which brings us to Section 2. How does GPS actually work? Let's break down the science of knowing exactly where you are, to really understand how this invisible shield operates.
GPS actually has a totally fascinating backstory. It was originally created back in 1973 by the U.S. Department of Defense strictly as a military asset. The very first satellite went up in '78, but the major turning point was in 1983. Following a horrific incident where a Korean passenger plane accidentally strayed into restricted airspace and was shot down, the U.S. decided to open up GPS to the civilian world to ensure that kind of navigational tragedy never happened again. And by 1995, the full 31-satellite system was officially complete.
So how does your phone find you? It relies on a mathematical concept called trilateration. Basically, these satellites are essentially highly accurate atomic clocks flying around the Earth, constantly shouting out their exact time. Your device hears that timestamp, and because radio waves travel at the speed of light, your phone does this lightning-fast calculation. Say a signal takes exactly 0.07 seconds to reach your phone, boom, your device instantly knows the satellite is exactly 21,000 kilometers away. But that only tells you the distance, right? Not your exact spot on the map.
So here's how that math actually builds to find you. That first satellite gives you a massive imaginary circle. You could be anywhere on its edge. When your phone catches a second satellite, it draws another circle. Where those two circles overlap, that narrows it down to just two possible points. Finally, a third satellite throws down a third circle. The exact intersection of all three of those circles, that's it. That locks onto your true pinpoint location.
But here is where the critical, foundational vulnerability lies. The whole system runs on very specific radio frequencies, like 1575 megahertz for civilians. But remember, these 31 satellites are transmitting from roughly 20,000 kilometers out in space. By the time those signals travel all the way down to the surface of the Earth, they're incredibly weak. Literally, it's like trying to spot the beam of a tiny penlight from thousands of miles away. Because they're so faint, they are highly susceptible to being overpowered. And that leads perfectly into Section 3, jamming versus spoofing, blinding the enemy versus tricking the enemy. Let's look at the two distinct ways militaries are exploiting that weak signal today. People use the terms jamming and spoofing interchangeably all the time, but they are completely different tactics. Jamming is basically overwhelming noise. You take a transmitter on the ground and just blast powerful static on those GPS frequencies. It's like shining a high-powered, blinding spotlight right into someone's eyes. Devices lose connection entirely, causing drones to crash blindly. Spoofing, though? Spoofing is way more insidious. It's not noise. It's a perfectly crafted lie. A ground transmitter sends a totally valid, strong GPS signal, but injects a fake timestamp. Listen, a mere 1 millisecond delay injected into that signal mathematically shifts the device's perceived location by hundreds of kilometers. The crazy part is, the device has absolutely no idea it's being lied to. Now, while spoofing is a great way to safely intercept military drones, we absolutely have to talk about the collateral damage. That's Section 4, the looming civilian threat, when this invisible war hits home. Because this isn't just a minor annoyance when your Uber gets lost or your dinner delivery goes to the wrong suburb. This kind of invisible warfare actively jeopardizes massive global civilian infrastructure. We're talking about literal life and death in the sky and risking the foundations of the global economy on the ground. Let me break down exactly how. Take commercial aviation. Modern planes heavily rely on a ground proximity warning system, which is tied directly to GPS. If a commercial pilot's instruments are spoofed, the aircraft's computers genuinely believe they are in totally safe airspace. The pilot receives absolutely zero warnings about impending mountains or restricted no-fly zones right in front of them. This makes sudden automated turns during takeoff or landing incredibly lethal, because the plane is effectively flying blind while completely trusting a liar. And then there's the financial danger, something most people literally never think about. Global stock markets and crypto exchanges are run by automated trading bots, right? These bots execute thousands of trades in a fraction of a second, and they rely entirely on the incredibly accurate atomic clocks inside those GPS satellites to timestamp every single transaction. If a localized spoofing attack sends down a fake timestamp, even if it's off by just a single millisecond, it could corrupt the entire sequential record of trades. We're talking about risking a massive instantaneous crash of the whole trading network. To really grasp the massive geopolitical stakes here, we turn to Section 5, the radio wars of the future, and a seriously chilling precedent of what lies ahead. Let's rewind back to December 2011. A highly classified, state-of-the-art U.S. drone, the RQ-170, was operating over Iran. But instead of shooting it out of the sky, Iran utilized advanced GPS spoofing. They actively fed the drone fake coordinates, fully convincing its internal computers that it was actually approaching its home base back in Afghanistan. The drone was literally tricked into executing a perfectly safe landing right onto an Iranian military base. That incident was a massive wake-up call for the entire globe. It proved without a doubt that you could hijack a superpower's most secret assets completely intact without ever firing a single bullet. As the source material so powerfully concludes, future wars won't be fought with gunpowder, but with invisible radio waves and data manipulation. The era of traditional, kinetic combat is fading away. We are rapidly entering an age where the silent, invisible manipulation of data and radio waves dictates who wins and who loses. Ultimate power no longer belongs to the side with the biggest missile, but to the side that controls the data guiding it. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. As our everyday lives, our cars, our commercial flights, our financial markets become completely, irreversibly tethered to these weak, invisible signals beaming down from space, how do we protect our reality when those signals start lying to us? The technology is absolutely brilliant, but we cannot afford to become blind slaves to its illusions. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive in today's Explainer. Keep questioning the unseen world around you, and I'll see you in our next analysis.